Hello, Judy here from Thistledew Creations. Welcome back. Thanks for joining me. Today I watched a video from Tina from Shabby Dabby Doodah, and she was making frames out of a 3-inch square punch. I don't have a 3-inch. I have a 15/16, almost an inch square punch with like a rippled edge on it. And I thought I would try her method with my smaller punch. So what she did was she punched out a square. The square is actually scrap in this case, but I think I'm going to start a little box of them because I'm using some solid colors. She was using scrapbook paper she didn't like. Now for my first few, I used just advertising postcards and punched out of those. And the one thing that I did do differently was she was putting her papers right up to the edge of the square because she was using one with a straight line. Because mine has a rippled edge, what I did with mine was I inked the inside edge. Well, that one's kind of got nice colors around it as it is. So does this one. But what I did was I inked the inside edge where it was white. And then took my paper scraps, which she used book page and music. And I like the look of the combination of the two. So I've got some pieces here that are already cut or torn. Cut with ripple scissors or torn. I'm not sure which I did with these. And so I'm just inking up the two long edges of these scraps. And what Tina did was she cut a square edge to put up against the square edge of her square. But I felt that it would be nice to see a little reveal around the square. So I did it this way. I just left it down just a smidge. Now you can see a little bit of that green writing. I'm not concerned about that. And then I'll just tear this down the middle and use the other inked edge up here. And like I say, I'm just leaving a bit of that edge showing. And you might see it better on the next one that I do, on the black one. So these were just the squares and then just rough cut around because you're not going to see these outside edges. And then I've got some music paper that I cut into strips and ink while I'm watching television so that they're ready to go for projects like this. And so again, just ripping it down the center and using half on one side. So I'm gonna put some glue on each side here and across the middle and kind of bridge that gap. Actually, I want to do it this way. And again, just leaving, that's even a square edge there because it was the bottom of a page, but just leaving that little reveal around it. And then we'll just tear that off and use it on the next one. And this one goes down here, across the middle. And use that, just leaving a little bit of a reveal around that opening. And then you can leave it as a really wide frame like that, which I might do on this one. Some of the other ones I tore it narrower, but it looks pretty even around there. So I think I will just leave it wide. It'll allow me a little more room for decorating later if I leave this a little wide. And it can take a tiny little picture, because these are less than an inch opening, but it takes a tiny little picture and makes it look more important. So there's that frame. And then once you've decided what you're putting in the frame, so here I have all of my things I've harvested out of books that are flowers. Anything that's a flower goes into this little bag, and then I've got a file of them. So I've got this little black background floral, which I used here. Here's another piece of it. And so I've got this blue tulip in there. So I'm going to do that. And then, so what I'll do is put glue right close to the edge here on the back. And what she did, and it does make sense to have this glued down, is just, I know I'm going to be close to the tulip, so I'm not bothering to put glue there. Just so that this doesn't lift up later. And you take your image and get it where you want it in the frame. And then just press it down a bit. And then what I did, and again, she didn't do this in hers, but I took it one step further, and then I found coordinating paper to put behind this whole thing, which gives it a finished back. And I continued to just do rough torn edges around. I think that really is a nice accent. So let me see if I can find something in a blue tone to pick up the blue in that tulip. I've got my scrap bin here. There's that. That's perfect. That one has writing on the back. And this one I could do with a square edge because I've got nice square cuts here. But what I did with my other ones is I just glued around the outside edge about 1/8 of an inch in so that the glue doesn't squeeze all the way out. And then just a little bit through the middle. And then I'll set this down approximately equal from each corner here. And then just so that I get a square cut, I'm going to use my guillotine. I'm going to eye it for the distance, but just so that it cuts a nice square. And you could leave it a little bit bigger at the bottom if you wanted to put a sentiment or something too. Sort of like that Polaroid look. I'm just going to do it like that. And I'm not sure that I'm crazy about the square background, but it would make a good pocket. Around the corners. Just going to put some extra little glue under that corner that wants to curl up. And then maybe once it's inked too. So I just sat down for a few minutes before I started the filming to kind of make a few and figure out what I needed to have ready. So hopefully that made this video a little bit more compact. So this one I was really thinking of doing a black background behind it. And I'm just debating. I think I want to tear it. It's going to have a white edge. So what I might want to do is tear it so that I get a good white edge and then ink it. I'll glue this down. And this is just a piece of magazine page. It was an industry magazine, a catalog. So it's a pretty good thick paper, but just nice matte black. Got glue on it there. And that doesn't want to stick to it too well. So which way do I have to? Yeah, I have to pull towards me to get the white edge. And I do want the white edge this time. Because I want to put the brown ink on it. If you ink it on just on black, you're not going to really see it. Yeah, that's what I'm after. Be a good place to use some gold ink too. Get some metallic ink, which I think I do. You could even ink it with the vintage photo first and then put some gold over top. Now that could have just as easily been some pink, but I thought that the black background behind that tulip just would look so good if you repeated the black. And then you could put it on pink again, pink or red. It's actually a pale red. So let's do a couple more here. It's leaving me with lots of little strips, but I don't mind. Okay, so we've got, where's the black one that I cut out? So this layer, you don't need to get precise with your cutting. You just need a base to glue your book page and or music to. You're not going to see the outside edges here. So I'll start with my book page. And again, I do want to ink. This is going to be right up against the black, but I'm going to leave a little bit of the black showing. I think that'll be really sharp. I'm going to try to keep this fairly straight, but really you might want to re-tear it later. So these I'm going on the sides. So I'm just going to glue up both sides of that and put the inked edge up against the black opening. Like that. Roughly lined up, but it doesn't really matter. And then top and bottom, I'm doing the music. So again, tear one right down the center. I'm so happy that I have this prepared. It makes it so much easier to do this project. So that's a nice mindless thing to do while you're watching television, is just tear up your music book and rip it into strips that you know you'll use and ink the edges. It's saving me time today. I just really like that little detail of the black around the opening. So I'm always looking in magazines for pages that are mostly one color that you can use as backgrounds, especially this paper. It's a little bit thicker, but any magazine paper would work because you can always back it onto something else. Not that I don't have colored paper, I do, but for me, this craft has become more about using up stuff that wouldn't normally be considered craft supplies than using up scrapbook paper. I don't know why. I just find it fascinating that you can do that. So we've got the black around it, so I don't want a really black background this time. The sunflowers, maybe. These are fairly small. This was just a printable. So that might work in there. So kind of get something figured out for where you want it. And then if you've got something hanging down, then you want to cut that off. And again, you're not going to see it. So then you just take and put the glue around the opening fairly close. You don't want it to squeeze out, but you want to get it glued right to the edge. And then the nice thing is you can position this over top of your sunflowers. Right side up. And that's glued down. And then I would probably want pink behind that. So let me see. Here's that pink page that I had. So this is using up a lot, but I think it really gives it a nice firm base. And I think what I'm going to do with this one is leave this tall. So I'm going to tear this into more of a rectangle. This is actually cardstock. And I'll have this kind of down towards the bottom, somewhat evenly spaced around the bottom 3 edges. And then up here, I'm going to make a half circle for a pocket. So this one is set up to be a pocket. And that can all get inked. I love the way that pink looks with brown ink. A little bit rough on the tear job, but I'm going to go with it. These would make cute little mini book covers as well. You can do them for pockets, book covers, mini notebook covers. And then this could also be a pocket. Oh, maybe I will. Maybe I'll make this like a double pocket. I'll cut this just a little bit narrower. I'm really enjoying the layering. And I'm just putting my little torn off strips off into the side. I've got the bottom of a cracker box that I've started for a tabletop scrap bin. All these little bits. And then what I'll do is later on tonight, I'll do a collage with them. Use them up. Maybe a strip collage or something. So this I want to back onto black first. It'll make it stiff enough to be another little pocket. I'm going to do it down here where this won't be in the way. And when I want to ink the edge, sorry, ink that edge first. I know some people don't like to ink. I just feel like it's not really complete until it's inked. Okay, now glue all over the back of this. And then all these layers are going to be encapsulated. I like that torn edge there. This one. So let's see if I can get that same. I'm getting white here a little bit. This will be the top of my pocket. I don't think I'll put a swoop in this. Ink that edge. It makes that pop even more, doesn't it? Having the black again. And it doesn't have to be very wide to be effective. And then putting it onto the pink is going to make that center picture just really pop. Yeah, like that. So this is going to be a pocket, so I'm going to hold on to the top edge. So I've got my writing going up. So I'm going to hold on to the top edge and go down the side across the bottom and back up. That's somewhat centered up around the bottom 3 sides. And then I'll have a pocket with a pocket on the front. I'll have to put something in there to remind myself it's a pocket. So I'll just grab a little scrap of paper there, just so I don't forget. I mean, I shouldn't, but I know my brain. I could forget that that's a pocket pretty easily. And so that's ready to go into a journal. I might want to make a tag that fits this exactly as well. And that might be something where you have to glue it down first to figure out your exact width that'll fit it. But yeah, I really like that adaptation with the extra layer on the back, the reveal around the square, and the torn edges instead of the straight edges. So it's been a lot of fun playing with these. So this one has some blue that would be coming up and some other little graphics that won't really show. But on this side, it's got some colors. Let's see how this one turns out. So we'll do our book page down both sides. And you could do all 4 sides book page, all 4 sides music. You could even use just scraps of patterned paper. She did one with scraps of pattern paper and it was cute too. So I'm just using glue stick for this step. She was using white glue everywhere, which is fine. Let's see if I've got some music that's already torn instead of tearing new pieces. Don't really want it upside down though, so I gotta pay attention to that. This one can be used. And then just kind of re-tear a somewhat even border. And it doesn't have to be a floral picture in the middle. It could be anything that you have a small picture of. I have a lot of flowers out of the Mary Maxim catalog. And some of the printables just have sections that have small flowers. So that's good. Ink that up. I wonder if I could use one of these feathers as a focal. Some things, when they're small and you take away the context of what's around them, it isn't as good. So let's see what I've got with these birds. There's one that says bird, and it's a bird beside it, but it's not quite fitting in the whole thing. Could do it this way. There's one where I get 2 birds in one square. Let's try that. Around the opening, and then around, oh, that's wrong. That's the back. And you can just see the word told me, which to me makes me think of a little bird told me, which is what it says. And then, because that's, oh no, that's not going to be big enough now, unless I do strips again. I could do strips to make a border that really coordinates, because it's from the same paper. It'll be the same blue exactly. Not that I want to use this up. I want to hoard this paper, but at the same time, we try not to do that, right? So I'm going to put some glue on the back here. And then I'm going to hold this up here. And then create another border in this blue, which coordinates perfectly with the blue of the center square. I have a pretty good eye for square, but it doesn't really matter if they're perfectly square. I'm going to put this one here, and then this one's got to come all the way. So let's put this one on first. Doesn't really matter which way it goes, but I think this one, this way is a bit shorter. Hopefully this is long enough. It is. And because this is all done with the ripple scissors, I'm going to trim it with the ripple scissors to continue around. And again, it's not perfectly square now, but that's okay. Makes it a little whimsical. And some of those spots where it's overlapping, I've got to add some more glue. So thank you, Tina from Shabby Dabby Doodah, for this idea. I know you said you had found it somewhere else. I don't remember where, but I thought I better give you credit for where I saw it and then show you my version of it. And I really like the pocket one. I like all the variations that I did. And I think you can really have fun playing with how wide these borders are, because this would look really good as just a very thin border too. And then, you know, this one could be just left to glue down onto the front of a page or pocket. That's the only one I haven't backed. And here's another little piece. So this could get a notch in it. I'll use my nail tail tab punch for that one. And just kind of straighten this up a little. That's better. This one go on here. It could if I cut it down a bit. I hate to lose any of that, but I'll use it somewhere else. Those inked edges. This feels firm enough that it could be a pocket. You won't really know until you get it glued and dried, but this one has had a chance to dry and it feels firmly glued down, and it feels like it would take the abuse of being used as a pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and make it a pocket. And again, just because I will forget, I'll just stick something in there as a reminder to myself that it's a pocket. Make some tiny little tags for them. That one doesn't have the extra bit of black around it. It would certainly benefit from that, but they're both cute. So that used up some scraps, made some more scraps as usual. But I think that's a really good, worthwhile project to share. So thanks for joining me, and I hope you'll make some. Come on over to my Thistledew Creations Facebook group and share your creations there. I'd love to see what you make with the ideas that I pass along to you. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. But most of all, have a great day and happy crafting.